And with that, let's go and take a look at some of the things that we do to prevent malware. And Jim, I guess yesterday was, or today's Microsoft Tuesday, right? The Patch Tuesday. So tell us what we got.
Today is Patch Tuesday. It's the second bunch of patches in 2015. There are a total of 9 bulletins released today. 3 of them Microsoft rated as critical. Mm-hmm. A couple of the important ones that I wanted to highlight today. MS15-009 is this month's IE updates. It addresses 41 CVEs, so there's a lot of stuff that they're patching in IE this month, including the critical remote code execution vulnerability and an ASLR bypass. That's the address space layout randomization bypass. So if the bad guys can bypass that, they can target particular things in particular areas of memory.
So the ASLR, that's basically an intent to randomize where things are located in memory so that a buffer overflow is much more difficult. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, and heap spraying and that kind of stuff is a little more difficult to find your injected code.
Right.
The ASLR bypass, by the way, is the one vulnerability out of the whole bunch where there is a limited exploit in the wild already. So, so these IE patches are critical. They affect IE 6 through IE 11. Basically, this is one you definitely want to apply quickly.
Right.
The other one that I wanted to highlight today was MS15-011. And this one is a remote code execution vulnerability against the group policy. And basically what this one is if you're on a domain configured system, so a laptop or a desktop that's configured for a domain, and the bad guys can get you to attach to a network that they control. Mm-hmm. The laptops are especially going to be vulnerable to this particular one. When your laptop then attempts to connect back to the domain controller, if you exploit this vulnerability, if the bad guys have the things set up properly to attempt to exploit this vulnerability, basically they can take over, even without knowing any of the domain credentials or anything, they can get total control of your workstation or your laptop.
Wow. So
this one is pretty serious, and unfortunately I was looking down in the workarounds section of the bulletin, and there are no workarounds for this one. So those are 2 of the 3 that are listed as critical this month. The other bulletins cover Office 2007, 2010, 2013, including SharePoint Server and Office web apps. There's one in there that's a TIFF processing vulnerability. It seems like these graphic format things just don't ever go away. I mean, we've been seeing vulnerabilities in those since, 2006 or something.
Right. Yeah.
There's one that's a true type font processing vulnerability. So if you can get somebody to browse to a website that's got an embedded true type font crafted thing, you can exploit them that way. Mm-hmm. There's also the Bulletin 17, I believe, MS15-017, is a vulnerability in the Virtual Machine Manager. I don't recall that I've seen patches for that in the past, so this was a new one. If you're using Microsoft's Virtual Machine Manager, this is a local privilege escalation. So if you log into a system that's running this virtual machine manager and running embedded virtual machines, there's a way, I don't remember the details of how to exploit it, but you can escalate your privilege to get administrator level access. So.
Right.
Anyway, another month, another 9 bulletins. Like I said, the biggies to my mind were the group policy one for domain-enabled systems, and the Internet Explorer one because it covers so many vulnerabilities. Like I said, 41 CVEs are covered by the IE patches this month.
All right, that's quite a collection. John, you had a question?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you, Jim. Do we know on the group policy one there, is that like a rogue domain controller or something that an attacker would set up, or are they actually exploiting like a bug in some of the operating system software?
My read of the bulletin, and I don't have a whole lot of details on it, but my read of the bulletin was that basically in the process of intercepting the attempt, and I'm not sure whether it would take a full-blown rogue domain controller or just intercepting and responding to the queries, as the laptop tries to reach back to the domain controller that it won't find because it's not on that network. It wasn't clear to me whether you needed a full-blown rogue domain controller to exploit it or not, but it's in the way that the workstation or the laptop queries back to the domain controller and to retrieve group policy objects to be applied to the local workstation.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned no workarounds. It sounds like the workaround, or if there is, at this point, is to just be careful where you connect your laptop.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's no technical workaround to prevent it. If you don't connect if you leave the workstation on your corporate network, well, then you're probably okay, unless somebody sets up rogue domain controllers within your network. But it's be careful where you plug into.
Yeah,
public Wi-Fi, coffee places, things like that would be dangerous.
Those would be the places to avoid: public Wi-Fi,
or even hotel Wi-Fi
networks until you get this patched.
Or even my house.
Even Stan's house.
I don't know why is your house so malicious?
Because Stan's connected. So thank you, Jim.